Hello students, Michael Sanchez, violin teacher here. Hope you guys are having a good day. So in today's class we're going to be working with students that have just started the violin. Preferably students that have been playing under a month. And the lesson that we're going to be going through today is Violin Tutor Pro Series 1 book, Lesson 6, which introduces eighth notes. So basically eighth notes are notes that are faster than the standard quarter note. If you see a bar that is over top of a standard quarter note, so first let me just show you what a standard quarter note looks like. That's just basically one beat. That's kind of the standard note in music. So if you see the bar over top of the notes, that indicates an eighth note. Now, 4 eighth notes is actually the equivalent of 2 quarter notes because each eighth note is technically a half a beat or 1 over 2 beats. So this entire phrase of 4 eighth notes is the same amount of time as 2 quarter notes. So this next part, this would be 2 beats, this would be 2 beats, 2 beats, and 2 beats. So basically what I have students say in their heads or out loud during playing between eighth notes and quarter notes is basically the word Mississippi for eighth notes, and then river would be quarter notes. So this beginning part is going to basically be Mississippi River, like this. Just like that. So the goal and the key is to have the eighth notes twice as fast as the quarter notes. So if you're achieving that in proper time, then you're on the right track. Now, if you have some trouble as far as counting, what I recommend is that you guys use what's called a metronome. Now, a metronome is a tool that you can actually download on your phone, iPhone, or Droid. And basically what it does is it keeps proper timing so that you can really make sure that you're playing eighth notes and quarter notes properly. So basically, I'll relate this concept to watching a second hand on a clock. So a second hand is going to click at the same amount of time per second. So it's basically going to be about a second, a second, a second, a second. So basically a metronome is going to be able to give you that click or that timing just like a second hand would. So a 60 beats per minute is actually a pretty good standard. So actually a clock hand is a great thing to look at or to use even. And then eighth note is going to be twice as fast as that. So if your second hand is going 1, 1, 1, 1, your eighth notes are going to be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and Mississippi River, like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this lesson 6. I'm going to go ahead and play the first song called Fast Start. Feel free to grab your instruments and play along. And the key is to really have an established beat. One way you can accomplish this is by actually tapping your foot to the quarter note. So where I'm snapping right now, you could be tapping your foot, and then whenever you see a quarter note, it would be accomplished by the snap. Or when you see these eighth notes, it would basically be 2 eighth notes per snap. Okay, so let's ready, go. Just like that. And now what you should be doing is you should be using about half of the bow for the eighth notes. So anytime you see these, you're going to be in the using half the bow. And then for the quarter notes, I actually do suggest using the whole bow. So try to get in the habit of being in the proper part of the bow. If you guys are in the lab classes, you can actually see me and see exactly where I'm bowing, which is basically right in this area for the eighth notes, in the bottom half. And then the quarter note's going to take us all the way to the tip and all the way back, like that. Okay, let's go to the second line of Fast Start. Ready, go. just like that. And what I want you guys to do to achieve that nice smooth sound that I'm trying to make is basically try to make sure that you're bending your wrist as you guys are coming in the upstroke. Most students keep their wrists kind of stiff, and that actually causes bow bounce and causes improper sound. So make sure that you guys are bending your wrist coming up bow. Up bow basically means that you're coming from the tip, coming towards the frog, which is basically where your hand lies, is where the frog is. So I'm at the tip right now coming up bow. I'm starting to bend my wrist. And as you guys can see that are in the class right now, my wrist is about level. So at all times I want to keep it level, so I'm basically adjusting as I'm coming up bow. Raise your hand if that makes sense, guys. Those that are here right now. Like that. So that's really important. Make sure that you guys are holding the bow properly as you're doing this exercise or any exercise. One tip I'll give you guys today, make sure that the index finger is about this far over the stick. Right now my index is about to the second knuckle. Most students have it more at the first knuckle, which actually makes it to where there's some tension potentially in your upper fingers. So you want the hand to be on top of the bow to where you can guide it and not have any sort of tension that causes bow bounce as well. So the adjustment would be not being here, it would be coming over the top, and then having your fingers as curved as possible. Make sure that the thumb is curved as well. Most students have their thumb very stiff. I call it banana thumb. This causes also bow bouncing and bad sounds, squeaky sounds. So make sure the thumb is curved, the fingers are relaxed and curved, and then your finger is over the stick. Make sure that you're using the index finger to kind of guide the stroke. So as I'm playing this piece, I actually play you guys the next one, number 20. Those that are in the class right now will notice how I'm really have my fingers bent, and then I'm actually flicking the bow with my index finger, kind of guiding it in the front instead of guiding it potentially with the arm. All right, number 20. Great, and then this one really has some intense bow changes, bow crossings. So what I want you guys to make sure you're doing is changing your elbow, your right elbow, based on the string you're on. So when you guys are on the D string, your elbow should be about even with the instrument. When you come down to the A string, it should actually come below the instrument. When you're on the E, it's right at your side, which we're not playing on the E here. And then eventually when you play on the G, it's going to be above the instrument. So for those of you guys that are in the class right now, I want you guys to notice as I play the next song, which is Jolly Old St. Nicholas, how my elbow is really changing based on the string that I'm on. The way that I kind of relate it is if you guys have driven a stick shift, raise your hand if you guys have driven a stick shift before in a car. So I know not everybody has, but basically the concept of a stick is that you want to get through those gears as quick as you can. So you don't want to be in between gears when you're shifting. You want to just get it done, get it over with, get from one gear to the next quickly. Same kind of concept is basically similar to playing the violin. You want the right elbow to be changing very quickly and be in the proper position. That's going to help your bow playing. Bow playing basically is exactly where my bow lines up with the strings, how high it is or how low it is. And if my elbow is precise and accurate and quick, it allows me to not hit other strings. It allows me to get a more accurate sound. So I'm going to go ahead and play Jolly Old St. Nicholas, number 21. And you guys can hopefully see my elbow that are here in the class. If you guys are watching after the fact, you guys are going to have to join us next week. And hopefully you guys can notice the elbow and the preciseness of notes. Number 21. Ready? Hopefully tap your foot. Go. Great. So a couple of things that are new here in number 21 that are unlike the last two songs we did. Something called organized eighth notes I'm going to introduce here. So the beginning of the piece, you can easily play the eighth notes in the bottom half of the bow. So right now I'm circling everything that you can play in the bottom half at the frog area, which makes total sense to do. But now this quarter note is actually going to be bringing us to the very end of the bow because it's a note that you want to use the whole bow. So this note right here is actually going to bring us over to the tip of the bow, the very end. And instead of going back to the frog where we played these eighth notes at the beginning, we actually want to play these eighth notes at the tip. So I'm actually going to show you here at the bottom exactly what I'm trying to explain here. So this is my bow. Not a very good drawer, I apologize. So here's my hand down here. So we start playing right around here. We don't actually play in this area to start playing the violin. But yeah, the eighth notes that start this piece, here's what I would consider midway across the bow. You can really hang out in this area with those eighth notes. So these ones right here, you can play in that first half of the bow. But now the quarter note's going to actually take us to the very tip. And then in this next part, you would actually play the eighth notes at the upper half of the bow in here instead of playing them down where we originally played them. This is what I call playing organized eighth notes. And it's a really good habit to get into, to play them either in the top half or the bottom half and not try to kind of mix them together by playing in between. You want to stay away from that in-between area. So for those of you guys that are here right now, here's eighth notes at the frog, at the bottom half. Here's eighth notes at the tip. Should sound the same. A lot of you guys are going to maybe have trouble playing at the tip of the bow because you're holding the bow too tight. So make sure that you're relaxing your right hand and that you're extending your arm as you're going to the tip and not using your arm and your shoulder to guide the bow. So you want to extend the arm and use the wrist, and that's going to make it more comfortable to play at the tip. Okay? So one thing you guys can actually do to practice is actually just taking open D, no fingers on the D string, and try practicing playing them in different parts of the bow. So here's me playing them at the bottom half, open D. Now I'm going to try playing them at the tip. That's something you guys could do back and forth. That would be really good practice. And in this piece, because of the way the notes are set up, like I was mentioning earlier, these set of eighth notes right here are going to be played at the tip. And then this quarter note is going to bring us back to the frog. We're going to play these as we normally have. And then this quarter note brings us back to the tip. So we're kind of going back, playing eighth notes in two different parts of the bow. Here, these notes are going to be at the tip. This brings us back to the frog. It's kind of going back and forth. These are going to be at the tip. And you guys get the picture. So yeah, it's going to be based on where the quarter note brings us. But it's a good habit to get into to practice organized eighth notes. Great. If you guys have any questions that are in the class right now, feel free to ask. We're going to wrap things up here in just a moment. And those of you guys that are in the class, I'll also be able to take additional questions. So I encourage you guys that are watching this and enjoyed the class to check out our webinars. You can see the link right at the top of the website at violintutorpro.com. And if you guys are wondering about the music, you should be able to get this music by submitting your email on the page that you're on right now. And that should give you access to the Violin Tutor Pro Series 1 book. Great. If you guys have any questions this week about this song or just about learning the violin in general, feel free to email me at michael@superiorviolins.com. And I'd really encourage you guys as well to visit our forums, which is a great area for students to learn more about the violin. So I'll just kind of give you guys a brief look over there in the forums. So erase what I have on the screen right now. So if you guys click on forums, this is a great area for you guys to participate in, ask questions about the violin. You can watch other people playing different things and getting evaluations. Your category would probably be beginner violin playing, so I encourage you guys to ask any questions you have in there. Our community right now is growing close to 700 members. We actually passed 700 today, it looks like. And yeah, it's a great place. There's 2 or 3 teachers that go in here and answer questions for students. The video feedback area is kind of a cool area for you guys to check out. Other students playing and getting constructive feedback about their playing, so check that out. And yeah, let's see if there's anybody else with any questions. All right, looks like we don't have any. So hopefully you guys end up joining us next week that are listening to this on audio, and hope you enjoyed the class. Have a great night.